Hello there, it's Carrie Rhodes here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel and a new card making video. Today I am making a Slimline surprise Shadowbox card that's a Halloween theme with some really fun stuff from Trinity Stamps. So this card is Slimline and you can see it lies flat, and then you pull the front panels apart and it pops open with this shadow box. So this is the center stage add-on die set from Trinity Stamps. It came out last year and I made this card with it originally because it has lots of dies in it to create like a stage scene, and also it coordinates with the center stage die. You can see there's like a stage at the bottom. It has those type of things that you can add to this and the curtains to make it look like a stage. So that's really fun, but I wanted to use it in a different way to create a Halloween scene. So that's what I'm going to do today, but using the same die set, because you could use it for really any occasion and it makes a really fun surprise element that pops open and you have this fun shadow box. Now, I do have directions that I created way back when I made that first card that you can follow along with step by step to assemble, and then some decorating tips as well. So I will have that in the description box below. You can copy, paste it, print it out. First, you're going to start with two 8.5 by 3.5 inch panels. One will be the front cover and the other will be the back. So make sure whatever you want on the front, you're going to cut the smaller rectangle from and create a frame. And then we're going to use this little die to cut notches on either end, and that will make it easy for you to grab the panels and pull them open. I like to cut mine a little bit smaller than this die. I leave just a little bit off the edge. I like a little smaller. Then we have these three pieces. We have the arm, we have the doors, and we have the stabilizing pieces. You're going to cut two each of all of these. So this one is the doors. You can see it cuts little notches and creates scored lines. These stabilizers have scored lines at either end. So there are places for you to fold, and I wanted to show you how to do the doors. You're going to fold them in a Z fold, but you want to fold them in opposite directions. So if your end tab goes up, on the other one your end tab would go down. So they're going to be like opposing Z folds with the biggest scored area facing up, and then you can see from the video there how to put them. Then we're going to stamp on those doors to create a little scene. I like that you can have one scene on the little door panels and then a whole nother scene when you pull and pop it open. It makes me so happy. And what I wanted to do is create like a little spooky scene on the outside. So I'm going to stamp these silhouette images. It's the Spooky Silhouette Stamp Set from Trinity Stamps. Just came out, but I love it because you can really pair it with so many of the Halloween stamps that you already have, which is a really fun way to get new life out of your older things. And so I'm just going to create a little scene here with the house, some bats, and the cat, and then it stops on that scored line. And then the rest of my scene is going to continue on the other panel, and I'm going to make sure and only stamp on the other side of that scored line. And so I'm continuing the path. I just stamped it 2 times, kind of doing some masking. It overlaps and looks wonky, but I'm going to put a gravestone there, and like, you'll never tell. It's going to be great. So here you can see the little headstones and more bats and the tree, and I put even a little crow in the tree. So it really finished off this scene. And you can see when the folds come together, the scene continues, even though it looks a little wonky right now. I'm going to fix it with the help of a black pen and just connect those paths. So it's kind of going to make it look like it's going downhill, and I'll fill it in and it looks really good, right? That totally helped. I'm going to heat set this because I use VersaFine Onyx Black ink, and next I want to add a little ink blending around the edge to darken up the sky. So heat setting it is going to make sure it doesn't bleed out when I add this Distress Oxide in Villainous Potion. Now I'm making sure to only put the ink across the top, the outer edge, and the bottom, and not that middle fold. It just would look weird on the middle fold, I felt. So doing both sides and creating this really cool purple Halloween scene, I think it's really fun. So we'll add that around, and you can see I'm like making a inky mess on my little magnetic mat here. So instead of wasting it and just wiping it away, I'm going to collect it with a little paintbrush and splatter it on to make an even better background. And a little bonus, I had a tiny bit of sparkle in my paintbrush, so it's a little sparkly, but to heighten the sparkliness and create more look of like stars, I brought in my Ink on 3 liquid pixie dust and added even more sparkle. So it's really looking fun. I love this. So that's going to be the doors, the outside of my card. Once that was dry, I'm reinforcing those folds because I've moved them back and forth a lot before I'm going to add them to my panel. And I'm using the Teflon crease tool from Trinity Stamps to do those creases, and it, oh my gosh, works so good. So the smallest flap on these 2 doors is where you're going to add your adhesive. I used some double stick tape, rip and stick tape. And then when I add these, the edges are going to line up with the edge of that back panel. That's the original 8.5 by 3.5 panel we made at the beginning of the video. But you'll see that there is a gap at the top and a gap at the bottom. So you just want to center that when you're adding those arms. Now for the background, you can make a little panel to fill that in. I'm going to emboss mine. This is 3.5 inches by 5.25 inches, and it fits in there perfectly. I just did a pattern that I thought might look like the inside of a really old haunted Victorian mansion, because my idea is that my little witch is going to be crafting in one of the upper rooms of that haunted house on the outside. So we have the haunted house on the outside, and then when we pop it open, we get a little peek onto the inside and see what the witch is brewing. You'll see in just a minute. So I did a little villainous potion around the edge and then rubbed the ink pad right over the top to really pick up that 3D embossing. Now for my arms, I am reinforcing those glittery background pieces with a plain piece of black cardstock just to make them nice and thick. And when you insert these into the little slits, you want to just fold one end up, put it through the slot, and then unfold that little piece. And so there's 2 arms there, and those are the arms where you're going to attach your scene, the inside scene. And you don't want to adhere them down. They need to be able to move freely so that the mechanism can open and close. Now the stabilizing arms are going to go on the back side of your frame, that front frame. And this is the place that we're going to be able to insert those doors through. So they're really important pieces to this. And they just go right there on the back, and you'll see them, you can see them there behind the pole tab opening, the semicircle opening. And yeah, that's where our doors will go. So you just insert those, and that's what holds the front of the card to the back of the card. It's freestanding, but you need it to be freestanding so everything can move around like it's supposed to. All right, I'm going to add a sentiment onto the front of my frame here to kind of, you know, entice you as to what's going on, but it says sending you a little witchcraft. And then I'm using some glitter paper in white. One of them has a little bit more pinkish purple highlight to it when you turn it in the light, so I decided to use that one. And the stars are also from this Center Stage die set, but I thought it went really well with our scene and not just like a stage scene, so I added those and I love them. They have different sizes, little different shapes of stars, so they're really fun. So there we go. Next, for the inside, I am using the Witchcrafting stamp set from Trinity Stamps. It's a little witch in her craft room. She's making a little paper ghost. It is so cute. And the wall and everything stamps behind her, and you can use it just like that, or you can die cut out just the little witch. And so since the whole scene did not fit on the inside of this card, I went ahead and die cut it out. And now we're going to color her up with some really fun Halloween colors. I think it's my favorite thing about doing Halloween cards is the really super fun color combinations of purple and orange and green and black. I love it. So that's what I'm doing here today. And you can see the markers that I'm using on the screen. V01 is my lightest color here, and I really like the contrast. I think my darkest was V06, but I like the contrast between those 2 colors so much. So I'm going to give her a little bright green hair for fun with YG03 and YG01, and then I will just continue to color her out in these fun colors. And I'm going to do some kind of wood grain type coloring for the tabletop. I love coloring wood grain. I, do it on like branches for trees sometimes that don't have that detailing in the stamp. And so I thought it'd be really fun to do here on her little table because I needed, something a little bit different, a little more contrast. So I'll do that and you'll see how that goes. Also, her shoe to me looks like a shoe that has an open spot, like a Mary Jane type shoe. So that's how I colored mine. You see the little opening there. And then when I'm doing my black, I did N7 as my darkest and N5 as my lighter. So it still looks black, but you get that nice highlight there. Then for her skin, I played around with some colors. I started with E02, and I think I just kept coloring until I got it the shade that I wanted. Sometimes I just cannot find the right skin shade that I love. I even brought in this graphic marker from Spectrum Noir and added that in, and yeah, eventually I did like it, but sometimes it's so peachy, or sometimes it's just a little too grayish brown. Like, I don't know. I need to maybe get some more skin tones for various coloring. I like to do all different colors, so yeah. All right, we're moving on to the little shelf, which I feel is probably her shelf of like glitters and pastes and inks. And so I'm going to color those in some really fun colors as well. And I just, can picture her grabbing her little glitter, adding it to her ghost, because that's what I would do. I have been in love with crafting supplies as long as I can remember, since Crayola time, I've always loved coloring and paper crafts my whole life. So to be able to do this as an adult, it's so much fun, isn't it? Don't you agree? All right, so adding my finishing touch to those, and now it's time for the wood grain. So I'm just taking my darkest color, which in this case is E37, and just creating some squiggly lines, and I like to add a few little knots in there, and it's just fun. It doesn't have to look great. Like, I sometimes think, oh, this one's horrible. It's not going to turn out. I don't even like it. What am I doing? But then you just keep going. And that is my motto on so many of my cards. Just keep going. You can fix it. Like, don't give up. Don't rip it up. Don't start over. Just keep going. And it really has worked well for me. So I recommend that for you as well. So then I'm just going to color over the top of this. I have my mid-tone marker. I'm just pulling out those darkest shadowy areas and then adding a little bit more coverage on my table. Before I bring in my lightest color, I had to get my other E13 because my sketch one is totally dry. I use this color a lot. E13, it's one of my go-tos. Yeah, I love it. So E13 for my lightest color, and you can see it really tones down those crazy looking lines and really gives you that subtle look of wood grain. I love it. I love it. Do you guys do that? Do you color wood grain? Do you like doing that? Let me know in the comments below if you like wood grain. I like all things wood grain. If it's a stamp, if it's an embossing folder, hot foiled, letterpress, all the things that are wood grain I need to have. There's a few things like that. Like holly, I also love all things holly. All things mushroom, acorns. Like, there's just some things that you love, right? Yeah, those are mine. That's a few of mine. I probably have a few more. So I added the witch all colored up to the back arm, and then to give it a little bit more stability, because only a tiny portion of this giant image is attached, I cut another image just in black and added that behind. So that'll give it a little stability. And then there's all these cute things you can add to her desk. I only used a few. The already cut out pumpkin, the glue, a little candle on top of her little cabinet there, and then her drink. Because of my sentiment, I had to have the glue and the drink. So for the inside, I'm adding this to the front arm. It says, I made this wicked cute craft just for you. Wicked cute card just for you. And then it says, with paper and glue. So you add those two together. With paper and glue, I made this wicked cute card for you. There is a third line you can add in there, and it says, while drinking this brew, I made this wicked cute card for you. So lots of fun you can do with sentiments from this Witchcrafting stamp set. Plus, it's so fun of an image to be able to send to your card making friends, right? They know how, what it's like sitting in the craft room making things, and this card is perfect for somebody like that, I feel. So my my card front has now been added to my card base, which is just a slimline card base of 8.5 by 3.5. And then my door came out of my arm, so I just slid that back in. But you should know that front frame can slide back and forth. So if you ever feel like your card is a little bit off center when you make a card like this, you can just scoot that frame over. Yeah, and then lay it flat. It does lay completely flat, and you can put it into a regular sized slimline envelope. All right, so we're going to add a few little embellishments to this. There's in this, I think it's Halloween Cupcake is the name of this clay mix from Trinity. There's really light purple stars, so I had to add a few of those to the outside frame. So you've got the frame you can decorate, you've got the doors you can decorate, and then you have that shadow box on the inside that you can decorate as well. So such a fun card. I'm so glad I pulled out this die set from last year and paired it with some of the new Halloween things, and make a really special card that's going to be a fun surprise, a good treat for somebody to get for Halloween in the mail. Thank you so much for watching, and I will be back again very soon with another paper crafting video just for you. So I will see you then. Happy stamping! Bye!